Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where experts in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Our first guest today, Michèle Wolff, is a naturopath, author and lecturer, and the topic we'll be discussing is how toxins in our environment can affect our digestive health. Welcome, Michèle.
Hi, Megan.
How do toxins in our environment affect our digestive health?
Yeah, good question. Well, nowadays we've got over 84,000 registered chemicals that weren't there over 100 years ago. So we're having to deal and adapt to that as human beings. And in particular, it puts a big strain on the liver because the liver is constantly detoxing what we put on our skin, what we breathe in, toxins that we produce in our body from our own digestion or from stress. So you've got all sorts of environmental toxins. You've got toxins that are in food, toxins that are in the home that are off-gassing from paints, from furniture, toxins in clothes unless they're organic cotton, and toxins that are on foods, particularly if they're wrapped in plastics. Also, there's toxins in different sprays that we use, like cockroach sprays and fly sprays. And we have to deal with all of that. So with food wrapped in plastic, the softer the plastic, the more toxic it is. So something like Glad wrap would be more toxic than a hard plastic. And when it's warm or heated, then that becomes more toxic. So if you've got a water bottle in a plastic container on your front seat and it's a 35-degree day, then the phthalates from that plastic will go into the water and that disrupts the hormonal system. The liver has to try and detox that, and that puts pressure on the digestion. In food, we used to have a whole food diet without food additives and preservatives and so on, and now the food industry has developed food that lasts a long time, that never goes off on the food shelves. Well, that has an impact on the system as well, because it's foreign to the body and the liver has to detox that. And then the everyday things we do in our lifestyle, from getting up in the morning to going to bed, we can use a whole range of toxic products in the home. So makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, hairsprays, and cleaning products. So what you've got under your kitchen sink or in your bathroom cabinet is not necessarily healthy. When you buy new furniture or you use commercial paint, that's often off-gassing for a period of time and we're breathing that in. When you get a new car, I've recently got a new car, and in order to help get rid of the toxins, had to heat the car up and use carbon filters in the car. So, you know, unfortunately, a lot of things are not made with natural fibres. We don't have a lot of natural wood products now for furniture, and clothing isn't natural, and where we live we're breathing it in. In the home there can sometimes be things like mould that can really affect people. So once you've got mould in the home and it's visible, there are a whole lot of spores in the air that you're actually breathing in that's very harmful to the health. So that can be harmful to the digestive health, but also overall health and for the brain, and you can get symptoms of chronic fatigue and so on. And sometimes people get repeated chest infections or asthma from mould. So those are a few examples of toxins that just are an added burden, in particular to the liver. The kidneys and the skin and the lungs are all, and your bowel are all organs that eliminate toxins, so you want to be able to free them up as much as possible.
That's really good information, Michèle. How can we avoid toxic products in our home?
I think having more awareness and starting somewhere. So if you have food and you can't go straight away to all organic food, you could start with the Dirty Dozen. So you can look that up on the internet. So it's the 12 most highly sprayed fruits and vegetables, because pesticides can have a big effect on our digestive system and overall system. And start to look at more natural deodorants, toothpaste, products that you put on your skin, products that you eliminate insects with. There are totally natural ones. Cleaning products, you can start with more economical products like bicarb of soda and microfiber cloths. Many shops sell cleaning white vinegar, and they are very effective for cleaning. You can also use essential oils for nice smells instead of false perfumes, both if you're perfuming a room or if you're putting that on your body. So for example, rose essential oil is the essential oil that we would use as the most potent antidepressant, but it also is a really beautiful smell. So it's therapeutic as well. And avoiding as much as you can foods that are wrapped in plastic and drinks that are in plastic. You know, if you're lowering your load, you're lowering the impact that you're having on your liver and your overall digestion.
Do you have any extra advice for our viewers?
Yes. So those things that I mentioned, also if you want to look into it more deeply, there are various air filters available so that you can keep the air quality in your house really good. In particular, if you're living near a busy road, or if you've got furniture that's off-gassing, or you've recently painted your house, to be extra careful if you're planning to get pregnant, because it's been diagnosed in the cord blood of newborn babies, a huge amount of toxins that they've got when life has only just started. And to consult someone like myself or another naturopath to build that awareness so that you can keep taking steps to avoid those chemicals.
Thanks, Michèle. If you'd like to know more about how toxins in our environment affect our digestive system and Michèle Wolff, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we have another interesting guest with another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, psychotherapist specialising in hypnotherapy Julie Makin will be talking about find freedom from a habit or an addiction. Welcome back. Our second guest is Julie Makin, a psychotherapist specialising in hypnotherapy, and we will be discussing how to find freedom from an addiction or a habit. It's so good to see you again, Julie.
Thank you.
So can you define for us what is an addiction and what is a habit?
Yes. So how I would say about a definition, and this is Gabor Mate's, for an addiction, it's anything that provides you with relief, that gives you pleasure, something that you crave, and it may have negative consequences. And even if it has negative consequences, you still continue to do it. So I feel that that is a great definition for what an addiction actually is. What I would say about a habit, so let's just say that somebody might have a habit about getting ready in the morning, and just perhaps they, leave something out, or they don't do something, and then maybe they might start to get a little bit agitated or worried, or they start going into that fight-flight state. So that's the way I would go about saying a habit. Now, as far as addictions are concerned, it can really be anything. So it could be, the good old chocolate addiction, or maybe there's, the hardened ones like the drugs or the alcohol. People who go to gym and they get addicted to the pain in their body from doing their workout. That is an addiction. So it can be anything that is a substance or a behaviour.
Why do people have addictions and habits?
Let's just say we have an uncomfortable emotion that comes up. For this purpose, let's just call it anxiety, okay? We all know that anxiety is really uncomfortable to sit in, really uncomfortable. And I can actually remember one particular moment for myself when I'm, at a party, and I've got my glass sitting on the wooden table in front of me, and it's full of water. And my friends are around and they're having a great time. They're singing, the music is blaring, and I'm reaching over to get my glass, and my hand is shaking. I grab the glass, and I can see the glass, the water starting to shake in there. I have to use my second hand in order to stabilize it, because the anxiety is so bad, just to get the glass to my mouth. So anxiety can come up in different ways for you. It can be so powerful. Now, when we've got our anxiety that's coming up, a lot of people, because we're sitting in that discomfort, we need to soothe that pain. And we might do that with smoking or gambling or a drug, whether it be prescription or perhaps, more recreational drug. There's so many different things that this can help, but this helps to soothe that pain and just puts it back down. And we get to a point where, we might feel uncomfortable in our environment. This might start coming up, but you don't feel it, you don't recognize it, because this is already on it, helping us. So the first thought that you might get is, oh, I really need that cigarette or whatever, and it's already there helping soothe it. Now this might be, so whatever the addiction or behavior, whether it be substance, that could actually be soothing the pain. It could be your time out, it could be your escape. Whatever it is, I invite whoever feels that they might have an addiction or a habit, I invite them to get really compassionate for themselves, okay?
So you've mentioned self-compassion. Is there other tools that people can use to help with their addiction or their habit?
Absolutely. I think that the first thing to notice is if you start having this anxiety come up, and perhaps you have your first thought of wanting that cigarette, or that first drink of alcohol, or whatever it is for you, whatever your coping mechanism is, I invite you to hold off from having it and just begin to notice and have an awareness of what it is that's coming up for you. So it might be agitation in the body. Your hands might start to shake, you might feel your heart start to race. But then what I'd really invite your guests to notice is if they can go inside their body, really focus on that part of the body and really thank it, because an emotion is made up of all physical sensations. When I have clients that come in, I might say to them, okay, I invite you to notice whether or not that feeling feels heavy or light. Is it hot or cold? Is it lots of pressure in that area, or is it more ease? And it might have a color attached to it. Is there movement? All of these things are tiny little physical sensations, and it's all these little physical sensations that make up an emotion. And what I invite you to notice is, or just imagine, if you've got an emotion, if you were to think of it like an opera. Okay, now an opera can be so extremely powerful. It has the power to make you laugh, make you cry, make you happy, or make you sad. But if you can imagine the power that that opera would have if there was just the one instrument playing, just like if there was just the one physical sensation that you were focused on, what would the power then be?
What practical advice do you have for our viewers?
Okay, so the practical advice that I would provide viewers is that if they, after completing that little exercise that I just provided, so just holding off and just noticing what is coming up in the body, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, please seek a professional therapist. Once again, we're looking at all different types of modalities, so whatever is right for you. My suggestion would be for somebody to seek somebody that works with the body, because it's the body that's where it's at. I know that there has previously been people who have worked with particular therapists for maybe three years, and they may have had an emotional eating issue. But then when they've gone and sought help with working with the body, it really didn't take long for them to just drop that emotional eating issue, and they were able to, feel safer in the world. They were approaching things differently. So it really depends on the person, what is right and safe for them as to what action of therapy it is that they take. But I strongly suggest people have a look at different associations, because you want to know that those people are qualified. You don't want to just go off and choose anybody. But you want to go to associations, have a look at what practitioners it is that they suggest on their web pages.
Thank you, Julie.
No worries.
If you would like to know more about Julie Makin and addictions and habits, please visit her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we'll be back with another interesting guest and another interesting topic.
Stay tuned, and after the break we have international meditation teacher and coach Daniella D'Amore talking about a balanced life through spiritual growth. Welcome back. We have international meditation teacher and coach Daniella D'Amore, and the topic we'll be discussing is the importance of a balanced lifestyle through spiritual growth. Welcome, Daniella.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Why is spirituality important for a balanced life?
Spirituality is just as vital in our life as it is to understand our physical body. Right? So if we focus on our physical body and don't focus on our spiritual life, then we don't have a greater sense of purpose in our life. Right? I feel that it's important to balance the physical, the emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies in order to align ourselves to perfect health and well-being, and therefore create a much more healthier and happier lifestyle. It's important to balance all four bodies.
Daniella, what's your personal journey in discovering spirituality for a balanced life?
Well, can I say I've had many journeys that really emphasize the importance of spirituality. But as a young girl, starting out in life, and when I became a woman, I had a lot of issues, health issues with my monthly cycle. And we know today it's called endometriosis, but back then it wasn't diagnosed like that. And it was, very uncomfortable, and I was just given medicine to take. Well, in my feeling, my sense was, no, this is not right. This is supposed to be natural. So why am I taking medicine? No. So I seeked out alternative ways to heal myself through this. And so I did go to a naturopath, I went to acupuncturist, and I started meditation. And over the next few years, I just found that it's, I had good months and I had bad months, but there wasn't that consistency anymore of the uncomfortable feeling. And about 7 years later, I was able to have cycles with no pain, because I chose a more spiritual way of dealing with it. But at the same time, I was healing my physical body, sure, but there was a lot of emotional stuff connected to that as well. So in the process of getting that healing through various channels, my emotional body and mental body also started to change. And I became a big advocate for meditation. Meditation became part of my everyday life, and just healthier choices, health and various things that accompany that. The good thing about that is when I went through menopause as well, it just happened. Like there was no side effects or anything. And I know that that was based on the fact that I took care of myself on a physical, emotional, mental and spiritual level, right? I lived in the United States for a number of years, and during that time I was very honoured to be able to spend time with Native people there in mostly Arizona, New Mexico and South Dakota. And having spent time with the Native women there, I realised that a lot of them did not have the same issues around cycles, monthly cycles, as Western women do. So I explored that a little bit and asked them, various questions. And what I realized was it's something that's actually celebrated. When a young girl becomes a woman, there's a whole ceremony and it's celebrated, and the whole tribe celebrates. Everybody comes out and celebrates it. So it's something that's really embraced, because now she can create life, right? So these native women already start their cycle in a celebratory type way. It's not a stressful thing. And then they maintain spirituality throughout their whole life. They do women's circles and various things, women's gathering, but spirituality is very much a part of their culture, all of the tribes. So it's something that is part of their upbringing. What I found was that they just didn't stress about things the way we did, and there was no expectation, if you will, for them to be anything other than the beautiful women that they are. Whereas I feel in our society, women feel they have to step into a different role, to compete with men sometimes. So we neglect our femininity, whereas they embrace their femininity and their feminine power. And it's a beautiful thing. And they all supported each other through that. So what that helped me realize was that what I was feeling as a young girl really had some substance. Why was I thinking that? I don't know where that came from. I just knew that it was natural for women to be like this and to find the supportive system. So that was really confirming and very affirming as well, because it affirmed how powerful it is for us to embrace who we are. We as women in the Western world, our own power, our own femininity. And of course for men to embrace their own masculinity, who they are. And we play specific roles in that power. So when we can embrace that, we're much more powerful. And our bodies will reflect that, right? But in order to embrace that, there has to be that spiritual side, that meaningful, purposeful, that part of ourselves that we feel is missing. No, it's right here. We've just got to embrace it.
Daniella, that was a great story.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Do you have any advice for our viewers to have a balanced life spiritually?
Well, my advice would be to just listen to their inner self, because that's where our spiritual body resides, somewhere inside of us. Most people will say it's in your heart, but it can be anywhere. It can be in your toe. I don't know where you feel, whatever you feel. But think about how you feel when you see a sunrise or a sunset. There's something magical about that, and we can feel that magic within us. It makes us stop and look at it and go, wow. Or when a rainbow appears, and we all want the rainbow to be magic, magical, and we have a sense of that. Well, that's our spiritual body responding to that. So it's already happening. It's just a matter of making yourself more conscious of how you feel in that moment, and knowing that you have those feelings throughout the day, and they're important. They're an important element to who you are. And then to seek it out more. So how can you get that feeling more and more? Through what? Through whatever makes you happy, really. Whatever you do that makes you happy, whatever hobby, or maybe there's people, maybe there's places, things that you like to do that makes you feel happy inside, do more of that. That's all. Because that's called loving yourself. And the more and more you love yourself, the more and more spirituality you're living in your life.
Thank you, Daniella. That was such valuable information. If you'd like to know more about Daniella and how to have a more balanced lifestyle through spiritual growth, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And we're going to say bye-bye for now, and we'll see you next week. Stay tuned. If you'd like to know more about our show, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.